Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mary's Meals UK Family Hour. I'm Daniel Adams. I'm the Executive Director of Mary's Meals here in the UK. It's the end of another challenging year, or at least it's coming to the end of another challenging year. Challenging for you, I'm sure. It's been challenging for Mary's Meals too. And certainly it's been challenging for the communities we serve and the children that we feed. But it's really nice at the end of this difficult year to come together for another one of these online events. It's actually been a while since we hosted one of these online family hours, and that's mainly for a good reason. It's because we've been able to return to in-person events over the last couple of months. Around different parts of the UK, we've been able to host celebration events, celebrating the fact that Mary's Meals is now feeding 2 million children every school day. So it's been great to be back physically in the room with our supporters and volunteers at those events. But we're still keen to gather like this virtually online. So thanks so much to everybody who's joining tonight. These events, these family hours are run by Mary's Meals here in the UK. So they're principally for supporters and volunteers across England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. People here who give of their time, their money, their skills and their prayers to serve this beautiful mission of Mary's Meals and make it possible, really, for us to reach more hungry children with a nutritious daily meal in school. But really happily, even though it's focused on the UK, these events, we often get joined by people all over the world, people who are in other countries fundraising for the work of Mary's Meals, or sometimes, if we're lucky, we sometimes are joined by people from countries in which we deliver our school feeding programs. And I know I've already been told that tonight we're being joined by at least somebody from South Sudan. And the reason they're tuning in will become clear, I think, and also from Slovakia. So welcome to whoever's joining from Mary's Meals in Slovakia. We're delighted to have you all with us. So wherever you're from, welcome. And now that I've welcomed all of you, I just want to welcome my co-host for this evening. I know that so many people support Mary's Meals because of our good stewardship of resources, the fact that we are able to spend 93% of donations that come into us directly on our charitable activities. And we're so focused at Mary's Meals on treating each gift with deep respect, gratitude and care. It doesn't matter the size of the gift. We always treat it with deep respect, gratitude and care. And there's one team in particular which is really focused on that objective, and it's our finance team. And Beth Smith, who's my co-host tonight, joins us from our finance team. Sorry for the big intro, Beth. How are you doing?
I know, what a welcome, thank you. I'm very good, thank you, and thanks for letting me join you tonight. I'm a bit nervous, so I'm not going to lie.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's a very kind audience out there, I'm sure. I think you're going to tell us what's coming up tonight on Family Hour, so why don't you take that away?
I am, thank you. Yes, I'm very excited because tonight we have Moses from our programme in South Sudan who you'll be speaking to. We've also got our long-time supporter Bernadette and her 5-year-old granddaughter Sophia, who are going to be telling us a wee bit about their fundraising. Then we'll be speaking to lovely Anna, who's our support engagement officer based in Liverpool. And then we've got our founder Magnus, who's going to actually be answering some of your guys' questions tonight. So if you've got anything you'd like to ask him, then just drop a wee message in the comment box and we'll get that to him. So it should be fun.
Oh, excellent. Yep, lots to look forward to. So hopefully that sounds good to everybody out there. As Beth says, please do pop any questions you've got for Magnus. Magnus always loves responding to questions from our supporters. So please do whatever you'd like to ask. We'll try to put as many of them as possible to Magnus at the end. So Beth, it's officially December. I think that means we can all get in a jolly, happy, Christmassy mood without any fear. Are you organised for Christmas?
Is this tiny Christmas tree beside me not telling of how organised I am?
It's pretty spectacular.
Thank you. No, so we've put up our decorations, but present-wise, I'm really kind of a December 20th kind of person. So I'll be the one kind of rushing around the shops, like a supermarket sweep, just try to get all the stuff that I can.
I used to be like that before I was married, but now my wife Jen really takes care of all of that. So that's lovely. And what about you in terms of Christmas dinner and things? Where do you host people at yours, or are you going somewhere else?
Oh no, I wouldn't be trusted to host, not yet, I don't think. My mum's having us over this year, so I think there'll hopefully be about 11 of us maybe, so that should be nice, and we'll probably be there for a few days so she can look after us, but I don't know if she knows that yet.
Oh, that would be excellent though.
And what are you doing this year?
Well, I do have everybody around my house. We've got a wee toddler, Isaac, as you know, and he's the only grandchild on both sides. So everybody, both sides, descends on our house. So looking forward to that. And I'm also entrusted with the cooking, which I'm not that great at cook, but for some reason I've ended up with the help of Nigella's recipes. I've ended up being the cook every year for the last few years. So, what's your tell everybody what your favourite kind of Christmas traditions are? What's big for you? What do you most look forward to about the festive season?
So I was thinking about this question a wee bit, but the thing that stuck out for me most is that so every year since we were wee, me and my brother, so I'm now 27. My brother, his age has been redacted, but we go to bed, pretend we're asleep, and then my mum will sneak into our room and hang our stockings at the end of the bed. And the stockings have jingle bells on them, so like even if we were asleep, they're definitely going to wake us up. And then my mum will go to sleep, and Andrew and I will like conspire in the living room and open everything out of our stockings, but then put them back exactly as they were. So when we open it in the morning, it's as if we're doing it for the first time. My mum obviously knows that this is going on, but it's just something we do every year regardless, like this that we have. So that's what I look forward to.
Oh, that's amazing. It sounds good. But I was trying to think of what mine's were, and I was trying to think of something profound, but actually the thing I most look forward to about Christmas is a glass of Advocaat or two. There's something just so Christmassy about that. But also the thing that's become a big tradition in our house since we've had our wee boy Isaac is that my wife insists that we all wear matching pajamas. And so it's quite cute, but it's also slightly embarrassing as well because there's always a photo that ends up on social media at some point.
Inevitably.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I just look forward to midnight mass and coming together with the community, but also like just family. That thing we were talking about, folk coming around to the house and meeting over the table and stuff. It's a great way to end the year, isn't it?
It really is. Oh, I'm getting excited now talking about it.
Exactly. Well, it'd be great to hear anybody who's watching, if you've got a favourite Christmas tradition that you'd like to share with us, pop it into the live chat. So questions for Magnus, but also any Christmas traditions you would like to share with us, and we'll read out some of the most interesting ones as we go on tonight. So, Beth, I think you're heading off now, but you're coming back later to speak to Bernadette and Sophia and Anna. So we'll see you in a bit. Catch you then.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much. So, of course, us all talking about the Christmas, being in a Christmassy mood, we're slightly jumping the gun. Of course, Advent just began last Sunday. And of course, Advent is a time of waiting, of quietness, of preparation for the eventual overwhelming joy of commemorating the birth of Jesus, which is yet to come. While we're all getting quite happy about Christmas coming, there is just this period of preparation first. And the run-up to Christmas is a really important time of preparation and expectation and hope for us at Mary's Meals too. And that's not just from a faith perspective for those of us who are Christians, but also from the point of view of us at Mary's Meals being able to keep our promise to every one of those more than 2 million children who receives meals through Mary's Meals each day in school. And the reason that this is a time of hope and expectation is that a huge proportion of our fundraising traditionally happens this month as people pour out so much love and generosity during this special season of giving. It's an important time of the year. And I'm just so delighted to let you know, if you don't already, that we have our Double the Love campaign running again, something we've had in the past. And that means that every donation made to Mary's Meals between now and the end of January, and this has actually been going for the whole of November as well, but from now until the end of January, every donation will continue to be doubled. £1 for £1, every donation doubled. And the reason for that is that a group of private funders. So this time it's not the government supporting this as has happened in the past. It's a group of very generous private funders have made available £1.6 million. That's what they're pledging to match if we can raise that 1.6 million from public donations. So just a big thank you to those private funders who are pledging that 1.6 million if we can raise an initial 1.6 million pounds. And that means, of course, that £15.90 costs the cost to feed a child for a whole school year is currently worth 2 children. You can feed 2 children for a whole year for £15.90, not just one. So it's usually such a cheap gift to give to a child on the other side of the world, just £15.90. But this time of the year, 2 children instead of 1 for that amount. So hopefully together we're going to be able to feed so many more children into next year because of this Double the Love campaign. And that'll be children in countries like South Sudan. As I said earlier, somebody is tuning in tonight from South Sudan. And South Sudan is a country that has close to 70% of its children out of school. 70% of children in South Sudan do not go to school because of the barriers that exist that stop them from going there. And Mary's Meals is really helping to remove some of those barriers and enable children to come into school through our nutritious daily meals. And I was really delighted recently to catch up with Moses Kuperat, who manages our program in South Sudan. And because the internet connection is quite unstable between here and Rumbek, where Moses is based, we decided to pre-record this one earlier. But I hope you enjoy hearing from Moses. He's an inspirational character, and he's talking about our program in South Sudan, where today we feed 75,000 little ones every school day. Here's Moses. Let's begin, Moses, by talking about just the most amazing news. In South Sudan, we've just very recently expanded to reach, I think, 5,000 new children in a new region of South Sudan. Where is that region, and can you tell us a little bit about it and how Mary's Meals has got started there?
It's a fantastic news. It was the best day of my life when I reached there, because I've never reached a place like that in South Sudan. And I told sister, this is so amazing to come to a remote place where very many children are located, very deep in the forests, without good roads. But there are many people there, very many children, lovely children, and the people are good, enjoying it. So it is a wonderful news when we went with the sister and we told the community, they have the Sultan, they came down, and then we told them that we are going to start a feeding program for the children here. There was a lot of food donation, everybody was there, and the chief was saying, if you bring the food, if we cannot reach, we are ready to mobilize ourselves. We go and collect it from wherever is. But you bring the food here. So that was the amazing news that we got. So it's a fantastic thing, and we thank Mary's Meal to reach to those ones who are not reachable. So that place is Western Barkazal, and it's 280 kilometers where I'm staying. When we had that, they received the first food, everybody was just calling, Moses, come here, we need to sing for you. I said, it's not me, but Mary's Meal.
They said they needed to sing for you.
Yeah, they said they have to sing for me because I brought life to them. And I told them, it's not me, but it's Mary's Meal and the sister. So that is something that is so amazing. So I told them it's Mary's Meal, and there are people that are very far that are supporting. They have seen you through us, and that is why they are giving you the help. So everybody is happy in that community.
Wonderful, Moses, because that theme of children who are hard to reach, in remote places, it's such a theme of Mary's Meals program globally, is trying to expand to places where children might otherwise be missed. So it sounds like, wow, that most recent expansion is a great example of that. Let's talk a wee bit about the kind of wider context within South Sudan, Moses, because your country is a country that unfortunately has been riven with conflict in its young history as a new country, but prior to that as well. And it's a country that has one of the highest rates of children out of school in the world. One of the reasons why Mary's Meals is so keen to work there and to expand to reach more children. And then there are kind of recent factors? Like, I know there's been significant flooding recently, which has been making things difficult for people. Could you maybe just give us a kind of background on the general context in South Sudan amongst those different challenges?
We have never seen something called peace in the whole of our life. Now I'm 45 years old, but I stayed in South Sudan where there was the conflicts that started. But these conflicts continued until the time when we got peace in 2005. Then after the peace, I think there is a lot of wrangle between the warring parties that also caused a lot of conflict that came up in 2013. But that conflict was actually the worst because it's among ourselves that we are fighting among ourselves, and it caused a lot of displacement. Many people died, many destruction, schools were destroyed. Children were all left frustrated because if you're having the hope by then in 2011, after getting the independence of South Sudan, we were having a lot of hopes. We are going to see there are a lot of things that are going to happen. Unfortunately, everything was shattered. So South Sudan has never gone back now to the best country that we were expecting. There are a lot of things that has happened. Schools were destroyed. Issues of children who are now staying at home without good education. Health services are poor. People are staying for a number of months without getting the salaries. So the situation at the moment is getting bad, and worse is when there is flooding also coming in, displacing the children, displacing the communities from one place to another one. So totally, there is a total devastation in the country at the moment. Last year and this year, the flooding has really affected us badly. But we are trying, and the government is trying also to make sure that the community, the issues, the resilience of the community is the one that is making us to move to all the locations, because most of the people, they are so resilient now to the same scenario of events that are happening. So they only have one thing, is the hope that tomorrow this nation will be okay, and this nation belongs to us, and we have to work and support the people. That is the only hope that we're having now. We take it as our country, and we need to work hard. We need to make sure that we develop peace and unity among ourselves. So this is what is happening in South Sudan. But in terms of other things, life is not easy. Livelihood, it's not easy to stay in South Sudan. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's very powerful in a very sad way what you said around, we've never known peace. For somebody like me who has grown up in a peaceful country all my life, it's a very kind of stark thing to hear you say that. If Mary's Meals wasn't providing our meals within the schools in Rumbek and in Wow, where we've just expanded to recently, what would the effect of that be? Where would the children be instead, and what would be the reasons for them not going into school?
Mary's Meal has helped us a lot in terms of improving the physical appearance of the children, because most of the children are acutely malnourished. But now, majority of them, if you just see, they are physically fit, they are healthy, just because of that feeding program. And in our schools also, the Mary's Meal program is able to retain the children in the school. We are able to see that majority of the children are also able to complete the primary school successfully. Within these 5 to 7 years, we are seeing that the schools are doing actually the best, and the children are joining secondary schools. So the impact of Mary's Meal is great. Yeah, it's very great.
Well, that's great to hear. And we've talked a good bit about the challenges in your country. What are your kind of hopes for the future? What's your optimistic view of where life could go in South Sudan in the years and decades to come?
In South Sudan, we live always in hope. We are having the hope that tomorrow we will be like any other country, where we'll get good houses, we'll get good peace, will get good health, children will have good education, will have good jobs. That is the hope that we have in South Sudan.
What you've just been saying reminds me of one of Mary's Meals films, Generation Hope. There's a Malawian teacher gets asked a similar question to what I just asked you. And he said just emphatically, one day a change will come. One day a change will come. And what you were just saying there reminded me of what that teacher says in our film Generation Hope. Just for those people who are tuning in to listen to your what you're sharing with us tonight, could you maybe just give a message to them? Because they are people who support Mary's Meals to make it possible for us to continue to keep our promise to the children in South Sudan and in different countries around the world. So I just wonder if you have something you want to say to them directly.
Yeah, I would just say thank you very much for the generosity. As one of the the children last time said that, I don't know, Moses, whether those people, they know us. You know, why are they giving us the food and they don't know us? So this kind of generosity that you give to the people that you don't know, the love that you have been showing to them from very far, it is worth appreciation. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for the help that you're helping these children, the marginalized children. You are saving lives. You are giving hope to the next generation of South Sudan. And we can say that may God bless you and continue to help us. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, beautiful, Moses. Thanks for that, and hope to see you again before too long.
Thank you.
Wow, that was brilliant. It's always so lovely to hear from our programme partners, and Moses always has wonderful updates to share about the kids who eat Mary's Meals. So I think what Moses spoke about really highlights the importance of hope. And I don't know about you, but hearing about the joy and the hope that Mary's Meals brings just really re-energises and inspires me to sort of work so hard for the Mary's Meals missions. That was awesome. And thank you for sending in some of your Christmas traditions. I can see some of those comments. So Joe from Glasgow says that our little boys open a big pile of books on Christmas Eve so that they'll fall asleep. Yep, that's a good idea. And Maeve, you go out for a big Christmas walk and then have a nap. I think everyone needs a nap after Christmas dinner. Good plan. Abigail, Boxing Day chili. Ooh, because you probably have so much like Christmas food on Christmas Day, so chili's a wee bit different. And Maria makes a donation every year to commemorate her great auntie. Oh, that's so sweet. And yeah, of course, it'll be doubled this year. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for commenting, and just keep them coming. And again, if you have any questions for Magnus, then do let us know so that we can ask them. So next up, we're going to be chatting to Bernadette. So hopefully she's going to be joining us. We're so grateful for everything that our supporters in the UK do to help us feed children in South Sudan and across the world. So I'm so pleased to be chatting to one of those supporters now. So Bernadette Barr is an incredible lead volunteer for Port Glasgow, who's supported Mary's Meals for 10 years now, which is awesome. Through fundraising such as the Baked with Love afternoon tea, Bernadette has managed to raise over £75,000 for Mary's Meals. From giving regular talks in schools and churches to selling cakes and organising quizzes, Bernadette has been able to fundraise, raise awareness and inspire people to support Mary's Meals. Bernadette and Sophia, hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hi.
I'm just going to dive right in because I know we've got a lot to talk about. Can you tell us a wee bit about how you first got involved with Mary's Meals?
My first involvement, I think I was like most folk and had always heard of Mary's Meals, but my main involvement came after a visit to the Royal Concert Hall with my two daughters and my mum for her 81st birthday, when it was the first showing of Child 31. And just towards the end of the film, my mum whispered to me, "If only I was younger." Oh. Now, that relates to the fact that my mum had spent many, many years raising money for third world charities. So I came home and I spoke to my husband and said, you know, I felt sorry for Mum. And he said, well, why don't you try and pick up where she's left off? Unfortunately, she'd just been diagnosed with early stage dementia. So I couldn't bake at all, but I went along to a lady's house who taught me how to bake, and I can leave my little recipe. And it just took off from there. I named the little project Baked with Love, because I was enjoying the baking, but equally the love was being able to feed the children. So it was quite something, because a few years later I was asked to be a speaker at the same Royal Concert Hall that I had sat in with my mum, and I was able to say that a number of years earlier I had sat out in the audience and decided then to become a volunteer, and then here I was standing on the stage with, and the best part of all was my mum's picture was behind me on the large screen. So that was just amazing and all my family and everyone there. So it was a great honour to be allowed to do that, but also to have my mum. My mum was such a simple living little lady, and here we were with her face on the screen on the Royal Concert Hall. So yeah, that's where I really started, Beth.
That's amazing. Your mum sounds like a wonderful person. And I actually remember that Royal Concert Hall event was my first Mary's Meals event after I started working here. Right. And I remember you speaking, and it was brilliant and so inspiring, and what a full circle moment for you there.
Oh, it was. It really was.
So I know you two have been involved in quite a lot. Sophia, I heard that you walked over 5 miles to raise money for Mary's Meals.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That sounds so hard?
Yeah, it was.
You'd be tired after that. And you lost your 2 front teeth recently, didn't you?
Do a big smile.
Oh. And I heard you done something very special with the money that the Tooth Fairy gave you.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I gave it to Mary's Meals celebrant.
Oh, that is amazing. You're such a kind little lady.
It is.
Bernadette, do you want to tell us a wee bit more about the fundraising that you've been doing and what you've got coming up?
Well, generally over the years, I've just been baking. It actually took over our lives, because many's a time I was still baking at 3 and 4 in the morning, but it was all worth it. And then I moved on to, still baking, I moved on to afternoon teas. And when I say afternoon teas, it was feeding like 170 people.
Oh my goodness.
With an abundance of food. We brought in entertainment, Santa, if it was a Christmas one, and all sorts of things. So it's got to the stage where there was never any tickets available, because those who'd been to the one before had then, the minute it was announced for the following year, had bought the tickets, and so it was a runaway success constantly. So obviously COVID put a stop to all of that, but we have taken the bull by the horns, especially when we heard of the double up. I thought, I cannot let this opportunity pass. So very quickly have arranged another afternoon tea for this Saturday.
Oh, amazing.
We'd always have had my mum was nursed in the Little Sisters Convent, and that's where we always had the afternoon teas. We can't do that anymore. We can't take that number of people into an elderly care home. So we were very kindly given St Mary's Church in Greenock, Church Hall to use.
Okay.
I had to cut the numbers down to 120 because of COVID and the different hall, etc. But again, I've been turning people down for tickets today, because we simply can't sell any more tickets. We are full to bursting.
Oh.
Yeah, that's our afternoon tea coming up.
That's amazing. And like you say, of course, all the proceeds from that are going to be doubled, which is just incredible. What an effort.
You can't let an opportunity like that pass.
No, of course not. And you were telling me earlier in the week that you've got something special with your local arts centre lined up.
Yes. Once the announcement of feeding the 2 million children had come up, I thought, I've got to do something special. And much also of an afternoon tea, that's something I've been doing for a number of years. So trying to think of something a wee bit different, special, I applied to a local council and asked if it was possible to have a building lit in blue for Mary's Meals.
Oh.
And they just come back to me the other day to say that our local Beacon Theatre were prepared to do that for us. So we're planning that to be probably towards the end of January. December's too busy for everything else. And we literally will have the building lit in blue. I don't want it just to be that there's a building lit. I want it to be an event so we can publicise the 2 million children. So at the moment, I've managed to involve a rock choir, which is a fabulous choir of ladies, and literally they rock when they sing. School children and various important people. I really want, and the local papers, of course, to pass it on. And the other day, this was very coincidental. I was driving home and I was on the phone to a daughter, finished the conversation and turned the phone off. The radio then came on, and the first 2 words it said was Mary's Meals.
Oh.
And I was like, what are they talking about? So what they were talking about was Mary's Meals and the Proclaimers and the 500 mile. So me being me, I thought I have to do something with this. So on Saturday at the afternoon tea, I have got 2 entertainers coming along, and I have asked them that we make something of the Proclaimer song. So we've got something, a bit of a surprise for all the children on this Saturday. But equally, I am hoping, well, I think it's okay, that the choir, the rock choir that's coming in January, are going to be singing the Proclaimers 500 mile song. And I'm going to take that now as my song when we have
Brilliant.
We will have the children. And we were hoping to do the opposite, where the girls from Malawi took the song back to Malawi. We are hoping to have our children with their Mary's Meals t-shirts, etc., on, doing the song and sending it to Malawi, and let them, this is what we do here, and they're doing it the same thing over there. So yeah,
that'll be amazing.
Such a coincidence that this literally happened as I was driving. So we're taking it on board, and that's going to be our theme from now on. We will walk 500 miles.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. And you don't do things in halves, Bernadette. That event sounds amazing.
I give myself a lot of work, but I've got amazing support in Inverclyde here. Really and truly wonderful community, so generous with their time, with their donations. So yeah, it makes it an awful lot easier. Yeah,
brilliant.
I'm so lucky. Lucky.
We're so lucky that you're able to do all this for us, so thank you.
I'm lucky to be part of the Mary's Meals family, really.
Love that. And Bernadette, just before you head off, just because it's coming up to Christmas, can you tell us what your favourite Christmas tradition is, you and Sophia?
Oh, what's your favourite tradition?
All my family coming.
Oh.
Yeah, and our new tradition since Sophia was born and her little sister Emily, who's 2.5, is Papa and I come and stay at Sophia's house on Christmas Eve. So
that's really special.
Us up and we see their excitement first thing in the morning, isn't it? And then I host Christmas dinner, and all the family then come to us. So it's wonderful.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us, and also thank you just so much for your amazing support and generosity. You're an amazing lady.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very, very blessed. Thank you.
No worries. We'll see you later. Bye, Sophia. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That was so lovely. So we're going to jump to another part of the UK now to catch up with lovely Anna, who is one of our support engagement officers based in Liverpool. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Beth. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Anna, can you tell us a wee bit about how Liverpool celebrated the news that we're reaching 2 million children now?
Well, it was a really exciting time, to be honest. People might know that in Liverpool, obviously, we've got a fabulous sort of history through time. And one of the amazing things we were able to do to celebrate the 2 million was through one of our volunteers, we were able to get 4 buildings in Liverpool lit up blue.
Wow.
So we had St George's Hall, the Liver buildings, the Town Hall, and the Palm House, which is a beautiful place in a park in Liverpool called Sefton Park. And the other thing we were able to do, which was fantastic, was we joined up with Everton Football Club. There's a great rivalry in Liverpool between Everton and Liverpool football clubs, but Everton are the blue ones, so it was the natural one for us to work with, of course.
We had no choice.
We had no choice. So we had a bucket collection outside Everton, which some of our fabulous volunteers helped with, but we were also able to work with the club, and they made some announcements during the match for us. They displayed things on their screen, and it's hopefully going to be the start of some great work we can do together with them.
Oh, that's amazing. And it sounds like the whole city was practically lit up blue, so well done.
It was.
So I understand that there's 2 well-known authors from Liverpool who've written a play that schools are going to perform this Christmas. Can you tell us a wee bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Denise Cottrell-Boyce and Frank Cottrell-Boyce, 2 really great authors, really, really big supporters of Mary's Meals. Last year they wrote a nativity play, which has been sort of revamped for us this year. It was a lockdown one, especially last year, but this year, schools have really embraced it. And in Liverpool alone, we've had 23 schools who've taken it on board and want to do that this year. And one is actually the school that Frank attended himself, which is St Bartholomew's in Rainhill. And I was in there today meeting some of the children, which was fantastic. And they're really sort of excited about being able to do things to support Mary's Meals. But just so grateful to Denise and to Frank for them sharing their talents with us and being able to use that to spread the story.
Yeah, that's so generous of them. And I bet the kids will love it performing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anna, do you have a message for any viewers that might be tuning in from Liverpool this evening?
I do indeed. Hopefully they're all getting ready to tune in. It's the derby tonight. Everton and Liverpool playing each other. So, but hopefully, I know, before that kicks off, just to say to them, it'd be really great. We're growing the Mary's Meals movement in Liverpool, but it'd be fabulous if anyone else wants to sign up as a volunteer and get involved with us. There'll be an email address, hopefully in the chat, that you can find that people can just get in touch, and we'd love to welcome you into the family to get involved with doing things in this area.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure you'll open your inbox later and it'll be filled with emails.
Hope so.
And Anna, for you as well, can you tell us what your favourite Christmas tradition is, please?
It has to be. It's a very simple one. Is pigs in blankets. There's quite a lot of arguments in our house about pigs in blankets because we all absolutely love them. So it's, if there's an odd number and we can't divide them out between us, it's a bit of rock paper scissors.
It's going to get serious.
It's really serious. But yeah, definitely one of my favourite parts of Christmas.
That's so funny. I love that. So it's all about the food. It's got to be about the food. Anna, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us a wee bit. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Daniel, I think it's back to you now.
Thanks, Beth. That was excellent. Thanks so much for that. So uplifting and inspiring to hear from Bernadette and Sophia and Anna. Can I just say, though, as much as I love Everton, if Jurgen Klopp or Kenny Dalglish are watching, we will consider also working with Liverpool Football Club if they would like to support Mary's Meals. I'm not sure the chances are high they will be watching, given Anna said that they're playing the Liverpool derby tonight. But never mind.
Never know.
No, it's great. It really is fantastic that partnership with Everton has started. So hopefully that goes somewhere special. Great, Beth. Thanks so much. I think we're going to move on to the final bit now. So I'll see you in a little bit. Yeah, let me just find my place here. Yeah, we're moving on to the last Christmas cracker of a conversation, or at least I hope so, for the evening. And I'm really pleased to welcome, live from Mary's Meals HQ, still our HQ all these years later, the shed in Dalmally in Argyll, where our work first began, Mary's Meals founder and global CEO, Magnus MacFarlane-Barrow. Hi, Magnus. In Argyll, where our work first began, Mary's Meals founder and global CEO, Magnus. Magnus, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think you've got your YouTube on in the background, just in case you need to turn it off.
Yeah, very sorry about that. I just got rid of it.
That's all right. No problem at all.
You reminding me earlier not to do that. It was the only thing I had to remember, and I forgot. Sorry.
Do you know what? Don't worry about it, because literally I said to David, for those who are watching, David is our one of our comms team who's in the background making all of this work. I did exactly the same thing almost a second before I started. I remembered to turn it down. So
I was just enjoying it all so much. I got carried away and forgot I was going to be on next, quite honestly.
So tell us, is there snow on the hills in the beautiful Highlands of Scotland yet?
There is a wee bit. Yeah, it's dark now, but I could see that out my window earlier. Lovely powdering, makes you feel quite Christmassy.
Absolutely. No, it's great to just get a chance to speak to you. We've got a few questions coming in on the chat, but we'll get to them in a few minutes. Let me just start, Magnus, by talking about this amazing milestone we've been celebrating, the 2 million. And I've heard you say that while the 2 million is an amazing thing to be celebrated, it was never a destination for Mary's Meals. We've still got kind of so much to do, and like every milestone we've passed, this is a step along the way to something even more special and even greater. So I'm just, within that context, grateful for your reflections on reaching this 2 million and how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, it's a bit like you say, there's always a bit of mixed feelings, I think, about the numbers in general, because we've always said, it's about the next child, and like you say, there's always that element of, isn't it wonderful? Let's celebrate those children that are now eating, and we should celebrate. But there's always that other thing in our mind, isn't there, about the ones still waiting? But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I was thinking, just coming on before speaking to you, just about you and I being in Malawi to celebrate the million, not that many years ago, and we doubled. It's an amazing thing. So those numbers are really important, aren't they, to all of us as a Mary's Meals family, because they tell us we're going forward in an amazing way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been thinking a lot too about that day we were in Chirimba, which is the place we celebrated that first million, and 6 years ago that was, which means that we've kind of doubled to 2 million in basically half the time that it took us to reach the first million, because the first million was something like 12 or 13 years. Do you allow yourself to think about whether we'll speed up to reaching the 3rd million within 3 years, or is it all about what you just mentioned, the next child? How do you deal with those sort of conflicting ideas?
Yeah, there's a tension, isn't it? I'm sure for all of us, because it's both, if I'm honest. It is genuinely about the next child, and the next school. We're so aware of all these waiting lists, of schools. But more than ever, we really want to accelerate, don't we? I mean, the need is greater than ever. And just listening to Moses earlier, of course we all want to go forward even faster than we ever have. We want to go forward as fast as we possibly can. So yeah, please God, we can accelerate this. But we need to balance that, because there is a risk if we think like that too much, then we start feeling like we're failing if we can't do all at once. Every time we add one more child, every time we keep our promise today, we're succeeding in a beautiful way too.
Absolutely. No, and it's just like, it's such a common quote around about Mary's Meals in our support base, but just always think of that Mother Teresa thing about, if you can't feed 100 children, feed just one, that single child that we're all kind of trying to reach as well. But of course, trying to grow as fast as we can to reach as many as possible is important too. You mentioned Moses earlier. It was great to chat to him in Rumbek last week when we pre-recorded that. You've been to South Sudan, of course, and spent a bit of time there with Moses. Can you just tell us a wee bit about that particular country context from your perspective? Yeah,
it was a very moving visit. I knew it would be, but in a couple of memories, and listening to Moses earlier, I brought them back. One, it's funny you just mentioned Mother Teresa. That wasn't planned, by the way, everyone, but I have this particular memory in South Sudan. They came back to me listening to Moses there about meeting Mother Teresa nuns there, working in this very remote community. And they were specifically working with a community who were suffering from leprosy and therefore really marginalized. As if it's not bad enough, all the suffering that's going on in South Sudan for everyone right now, to have that extra stigma and to really be on the margins of the communities there. And those sisters had set up this new school in which we had just begun to serve Mary's Meals, enabling those children, in that community of people suffering from leprosy to come to school for the first time. And it was one of those beautiful examples of what's been touched on already this evening about Mary's Meals, how we really reach the hardest places, the impossible places. I think Moses said the unreachable, and that felt like that day. So that was one abiding memory. Another memory I have from South Sudan is I went to South Sudan, I think it was Madagascar or something immediately before, and I picked up a bug and I wasn't feeling very well. And I was traveling with our colleague Alex, and we went to this school, and it was the usual amazing, wonderful welcome and singing and dancing. And me and Alex were both not feeling very well, standing in this blazing sun. It was like 40-something degrees, and we must have looked like we were about to keel over, because suddenly these two pupils came out of the crowd, and they put their hands on our heads. We wondered at first what was going on. And then we realized they were praying. They were just praying for us, because they saw that we were struggling a bit. And it was one of those moments that happens so often. Like, you think, that you're kind of doing some of the giving, and then you receive something much more beautiful back. So that's actually one of my abiding memories of South Sudan and the people there. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And South Sudan is one of the places in the world, I suppose you could count among the places where life is the most uncertain for people. And it just seems like the world is facing greater uncertainty than ever right now. You mentioned Madagascar there. Obviously, we're feeding 50,000 children there now, but that's a country that's facing the horrifying spectre of famine at this point in time. And also, as we know, since this time last year, Tigray in Ethiopia has been experiencing terrible conflict that's threatening to turn into a countrywide civil war. I'm just interested, Magnus, on your reflections on, it's quite a big question, this, but on the state of the world right now, and maybe specifically kind of the levels of hunger that we're seeing and the levels of fear that we're seeing across the planet. And, maybe once we've heard what you think about kind of that just general state of the world, what are you seeing in amongst all of that can still give us some hope, that can make us optimistic about the year ahead?
Yeah, no, you're right to ask it, Daniel, because I certainly think since all the years we've been doing this work, I can't remember a time like this when there are so many crises, at the same time, and some of them feel quite new. Like that one you mentioned, Madagascar, for example. Many people are describing that as the first famine ever caused by climate change. So we've got the climate change thing going on. We all know the world's poorest people are suffering the most because of that. We've got the pandemic, obviously. And then we've just got growing inequality. There are more chronically poor people than ever. And we look at, we hear about all this very good talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's wonderful. The people are focusing on that. But you look at the second Sustainable Development Goal, zero hunger by 2030, and the reality is, after decades of progress, we're going backwards. There's a greater need than ever. There's more hungry people than ever. And when you read any of these reports by the UN or whoever about where the worst suffering's happening right now, the greatest hunger, the conflicts, it does map in a very particular way with where Mary's Meals is present. The countries you've mentioned, Haiti, Zimbabwe, and that's good, because again, like we said earlier, that's where we want to be. We're getting something a bit wrong if we're not in those places of greatest suffering. So that's good in a way. So thank God we're there. I mean, your question about hope, or what might make us think things can get better. I think there's so many reasons. It's certainly within the context of Mary's Meals more than ever. Just listening to all our friends tonight. I love the fact this is, that you call this family, and it is. Tonight I was just thinking that, like, all these old friends like Moses and Bernadette and Sophia, and that's for me, it's a greater hope than anything. I've just been traveling again a bit in Italy and Slovakia and Spain, and just encountering so much goodness, so much kindness, people who are really giving faithfully every day. So there's hope. And then there's that hope, you know, when we see that generation hope, those young people who ate Mary's meals in school, who are genuinely becoming the leaders of change for the better in their communities. So there's no shortage of hope, as well as, unfortunately, no shortage of suffering that we want to try and meet right now.
Absolutely. No, what you were saying there just reminded me, Magnus, something that really gave me hope recently. I've not had a chance to mention this to you before tonight, but when we were doing our celebration event up in Dundee the other week, we had this amazing surprise, which was that Gift, this young Malawian man who received Mary's meals in school, was there at our event in Dundee because he now studies at the University of Edinburgh. I just sat having a chat and a cup of tea with Gift at that event, and just hearing him talk about the difference that receiving our meals in school, meant to him in terms of receiving an education. So it was a great day, actually, that for him to be there just as a surprise, and us to all get to meet somebody who'd actually received the meal. So he's part of that generation hope, of course, that you mentioned. Yeah. Magnus, we've been asking people all night what their favourite Christmas tradition is, but unfortunately for you, I'm going to be more specific and say, can you tell everybody my favourite Christmas tradition of yours, which is that you have this famous family nativity set that you have a strange cast of characters in amongst. It's a brilliant wee family tradition. I wonder if you would mind sharing it. I know you've talked about it on the radio and things before, but it'd be great to hear it again.
No, happily, Daniel. Although I must admit, I'm a bit ashamed to say it hasn't been put up yet, because I'm just back from travel. So this weekend, all the focus is on building our crib. So over the years, I kind of, without really planning it, collected nativity figures from around the world. So we've got some great, the three kings on llamas from Peru, and some shepherds from Malawi, and a whole array of other things too, and some amazing animals kind of sneak in there as well. Not just the traditional ones that we think of as a nativity, like there's a giraffe that tends to come in, and a hippo and stuff like that. And we got a bit carried away over the years. It becomes quite a big thing. And some years we build out lots of stones, like a cave in the house. I think we're going to go for that this year when we get back together. But it is, in terms of Christmas itself, that's what I love. That's the moment that I love the most, like that, the empty manger that we've been looking at for Advent. We gather around as a family. It's the only time here at Craig Lodge when the whole wider family comes together. And we have this tradition that whoever's the youngest in the family, and right now the number of new nephews and nieces appearing in our family, it's a different new youngster every year, and they get to put the baby Jesus in the manger, and that's a very special part of our tradition at Christmas.
That's really lovely. Yeah. We'll move on to just some questions that we've gotten for you. Maybe you've just answered it, but Joe from Glasgow has just said, how do you celebrate Christmas? Are you just all your family together at home, or do you go somewhere else for your big Christmas dinner? And are you the chef? Are you doing the meal, or is that Julie or someone else?
Yeah, no. Well, so the first part, we celebrate it here, and it's one of the few times in the year where it's just kind of the MacFarlane-Barrow family that we're just here ourselves, and so it's a wider family celebration, and it's wonderful. No, I'll be honest, I'm not the chef normally. I normally do starters actually at Christmas, but my brother-in-law, Ken, he's the main course guy. Normally we have venison for Christmas dinner. So nice. He normally prepares that. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Sounds great. So we've got another question here. I've not got a name against it, so apologies to whoever asked it, but somebody's asking, where's the most surprising place you've found yourself giving a talk about Mary's meals?
Oh, well, that is a lot of very different ones. Yeah, I don't know. I all sorts of places. I'm hesitating with. I mean, some of the outdoor, like I remember once, I don't know what, I was in Italy last week, so I was reminded of this. It wasn't the same place, just in a beautiful part of Calabria. I can't even remember what the background was, why I ended up there, but it was this outdoor football stadium, smallish stadium, and there were like thousands of people had gathered to hear about Mary's Meals, and we were talking outside, and very mountainous, beautiful region, and it was just this sense of Mary's Meals reaching everywhere. It's really more than like picking one. I would kind of say it's just the variety of that, you know, because it's there, and then talking in a beautiful square in Rome, or you know, in just the variety. It's incredible. Yeah,
absolutely. No, that question was from Abigail. So thanks for that, Abigail. What else have we got? Yeah, there's kind of two questions on that are similar about different sides of the Mary's Meals movement. James asks us about how we kind of grow our fundraising countries. So obviously this is for UK supporters primarily tonight, but we're obviously raising funds in so many countries now. And James is just wondering how that happens. Do we target that, Magnus, or do they spring up organically or somehow?
Yeah, much more the second of those. We never really like stick a pin in the map and say, let's do Japan now. It doesn't happen like that. It comes to us in the form of supporters, people who've fallen in love with Mary's Meals coming to us and saying, can we start a group here? Now, that most often happens in our history through Medjugorje, through people visiting Medjugorje, visiting our information centre there and learning about Mary's Meals. But not only that way, but it's very much like so much of Mary's Meals in the UK as well. It's about it coming towards us and then us trying to put support around it and helping people do what they want to do.
Absolutely. And the other side, the programmatic side, we had a question that I think we'll actually end on, because I'm just being reminded that we're now up in terms of our hour. But it's an interesting one to end on. Bridget asks us, can anything be done to help children in Yemen? And that's an interesting country to mention within the context of what we were just talking about, a very difficult, uncertain place the world is.
Yes, absolutely. And it does link to the previous question, because the way we choose what new countries to go into where we serve the meals is different, and we are more proactive because we want to be in the very poorest places. So again, very often people come to us and request Mary's Meals, and but we also sometimes will look at where's the greatest suffering, and is there a way we can start there? And you know, obviously Yemen would be amongst one of those countries that is suffering the most because of that terrible conflict. So yeah, let's say we have been looking at Yemen for that reason and a number of other countries, and it's probably just worth watching this space the next wee while. Is probably all I can say this evening.
Watch this space. I like it. Hopefully that's a good answer for you, Bridget. Thanks so much to everybody who's asked questions and shared their memories tonight of their Christmas traditions. Magnus, just before we conclude, is there anything you would like to just say directly to those who are watching before we wrap up?
Yeah, just a huge thank you. You know, just really with all my heart. A bit like Moses saying the kids in Sudan think he's Mary's Meals and they thank him. You know, I get that experience a lot, and I just want to thank every one of you for, you know, these things we've heard about tonight and so many other little acts of love, and also just to encourage you, please, for the reasons we've just been discussing, please keep going forward and have a great Christmas when it comes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Magnus. Have a good rest of your evening and catch you soon.
Thank you, Daniel.
We've got Beth coming back on now. Cheers. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Are you back? I can hear you, but I can't see you. But now I can see you. Hi. What did you think about what Magnus was sharing there?
Oh, it was awesome. Always good to hear Magnus speak, and those were some good questions as well. I really enjoyed that. And I feel like I have heard about that nativity story before, so I don't know how many times you ask him to tell that.
I really like it. It's the idea of a giraffe turning up in Bethlehem in a stable that I really, really like about it. There's just like I think previously Magnus has shared some photographs of it too, and it's the strangest looking thing, but beautiful in its own way, because it's just pieces that's been picked up from around the world. My nativity scene looks quite boring here in comparison.
Yeah, we need something a wee bit like more exotic for the giraffes and things. I like it.
Cool. So are you going to share a little bit about Double the Love before we finish?
I am, and
Yeah.
I always get tongue-tied at this bit, so just bear with me. But yeah, so it was just a reminder that obviously all donations are going to be matched if you donate before the 31st of January 2022. So yeah, doubled, going to help us feed more children, which is awesome. And this includes your regular gifts as well. So if you make a regular gift, or if you already have a regular gift but you increase it, then the increased amount will be doubled for your first 3 payments, which is pretty good. And the regular gifts, they really help us like plan with confidence and like, you know, for future expansions and stuff like that. So they're so important to our work. And like you said before, all this is possible because of the generous like group of supporters who have donated 1.6 million to our match funding pot. So hopefully we can meet that target, because it's going to make such a huge difference to what we're doing.
Perfect. Thanks for that reminder, Beth. And as you say, those people who choose to give regularly, it does just help us plan better how we reach out to the children we're feeding. So thanks, Beth. Thanks so much for co-hosting so superbly tonight. Thanks to everybody who took part, to Moses for speaking to me earlier, for Magnus for joining us, for Bernadette and Sophia, and also to Anna, and to our comms team in the background, David and Steph and Joe and others who have been supporting the technical side tonight. Much appreciated. And thanks so much again just to everybody who's tuned in. Thanks for your questions, your traditions. It just really has been a sense of family again in that live chat. So we just appreciate it. Sorry if we didn't get to your question with Magnus. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do that again before too long. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for everything you do to serve this mission of Mary's Meals and the hungry little ones that we feed. We wish you and your families a very happy and holy Christmas when it comes. And please God, we'll reach many more children together into 2022. And Beth was just reminding us there, of course, about our Double the Love campaign. We just wanted to end with a brief message, a very, very brief clip from some extremely well-known supporters of ours. And in homage to a very popular Christmas film, I call this clip Double the Love, actually. Thank you and good night. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Ready? Yeah, ready. Deep breath. This winter, double your love for Mary's Meals. I think that went quite well.
You were very